Okay, just gotta move. Just gotta move us a little thumbnail-y. Open up that chat up. No one's even in here yet, so we're good to go. Why can't I click on the chat? Oh, that's because it's down here. Okay. Got one person in. Let's see here. Super impromptu stream. Made a couple things on that FX2, so I wanted to go through that. And then also, Giovanni, first one in. You're absolutely the king of streaming because you're in every single one, and I appreciate it. All right, so today we're going to be talking about a couple of final thoughts on the FX2. Just let me know if you guys can hear me, and then also kind of the bulk of the conversation. We're going to make this stream a little bit shorter. Is finding opportunities that are going to be inside of this kind of filmmaking niche, just because something interesting has just come up. I wanted to talk about it because I think it kind of goes against the grain of what people think in terms of being in kind of this like camera space and whatever it's called, and thinking that there aren't actually real filmmaking opportunities here. So give me 1 second. I got to change the display picture on this thing. I got to change that thumbnail because, you know, click-through rate. All right, there we go. We saved. Let a couple more people pile in before we start chit-chatting and talking up a storm. Yeah, Giovanni, you're the MVP. I think you're the stream community MVP right now because I don't think I've seen a stream where you weren't in it at least in some capacity. Uncle Kofi, what one fam? Hey, Chale. Hey, Chale. Jesus is in the cut. Looks good, sounds good, perfect. Oh, we got a dislike already. That's quick. I think I want the FX2 because of the photo resolution. My FX3 would be my 8 cam, but I do tons of time lapses. Extra resolution would be amazing. I think it works for some people. I don't know if it works for everybody though. APC photography. What's going on? And hang on 1 second. I got to clear off all these notifications. If you ever like unplugged your drive 100 times, you'll get those notifications. Azrael's in the building. Okay. Almost done. Delete that. Don't need any more YouTube stuff. Okay. First of all, I'm going to kind of start off the stream. What are you guys working on? What are some things you're looking forward to? We're going to talk about stuff that I'm doing because that's kind of part of the stream. But I want to know what everybody is doing and what everyone's working towards. I'm going to build a 3-cam interview kit with the FX2. I don't think that's a bad application, to be honest with you. I think that actually works pretty well. Interviews, like, you don't really need the sensor readout, and I'm sure it's going to be cheaper. Excuse me. Image quality is really great, and I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit cheaper. If you're already in the Sony ecosystem, I think the FX2 makes a lot more sense. I think where the sense of where it kind of stops is when you acknowledge that there's the rest of the world that exists and you don't have anything to begin with. So obviously I did a pretty long video yesterday, and that was about the FX2 versus the S12E. And basically what I wanted to highlight is like, if you're knee deep in Sony, that's fine. But I think what the strategy for a lot of these companies isn't necessarily we need everybody to switch. In fact, this is from Lumix and actually from other companies as well. That's not a good market to try to engage with because they're not dumb. They know that that's going to cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to switch over. So what they end up doing is they try to get you before you get there in the first place. So those people that are like, oh, I'm looking to buy my first $2,500 to $3,000 camera, making a bid with your camera bodies to get into that conversation before you've even made that decision. Because if I'm coming from like an A6100 or a Micro Four Thirds camera, you're going to get rid of your stuff anyways. Or if I'm getting it for the first time, then you have nothing anyways. Like that's what they're competing on. I think it might have been overblown a little bit because I think what's happening now is a lot of the marketing is coming from Sony users or people that had a lot of Sony cameras before, and now they've kind of broadened their horizons. They've used other brands. So now other people are like, well, I came into this on Sony. Like, now, do I have to switch now? And I don't think, for the most part, most people aren't saying that because we understand how hard that actually is. But at the same time, like, you got to call a spade. And when like if the Chiefs lose a game, the Chiefs lose a game, right? Even though they're a great team. That's my sports analogy for the day. Red Dragon, what up? Living on APS-C, I would love an FX20 to pair with my FX30. I don't think they're ever going to do an FX20. I do think they're probably just going to do kind of what they did with the FX2, where it's going to just be a higher resolution full frame sensor with limited frame rate options, and then a Super 35 option. I think mostly because it would sit kind of weird in making an FX6 body with or like an FX20 kind of thing. I don't know if that would work out that well. Actually, the Lumix GH5 currently been looking at the FX3 as an upgrade, then the FX2 dropped for MTB. I don't know what MTB is. I'm currently producing. Would you get an FX3 and FX2? I personally would get an FX3, and I would just save my money in order to do so. What's going on, Rhett? Currently rebuilding my website. Would actually love your thoughts, bro. Feel free to roast me the last you want. Asriel, put your link up. Send it to me on Instagram. I will take a look at it. I'm also rebuilding my website because I have not changed my my DP reel. I haven't changed my portfolio since 2021, and I think I should do that. Yeah, that's a situation where that camera works out, and I'm assuming you already have Sony lenses. Tried to 500. Hey, hit 200 last week. Okay. Writing a script for a short film and catching up on my backlog of videos. Groovy, let's get it. It's I feel way more motivated to make videos in the summer than I do in the winter. So looking forward to this. Honestly, I don't care about crop 4K 60. Don't shout that much about slow motion. Don't shoot that much in slow motion. If I do, I'll throw in a wider lens. Just need an all-around one does most camera. Lex Diamond, I'm right there with you with that. I think if you're already deep in the ecosystem, it would be uncharitable to be like, no, ditch your stuff and switch to Nikon or Lumix or whatever. I just think for what it is, it's tough because like at one point I'm like, for what it is, I don't know if like that should cost you $3,000 almost to get, while at the same time it had to be some price, to which I would probably say I wish they did a little bit better. With kind of the stuff that's in there. So that's it's two sides of my mouth, but I have a hard time with the FX2, to be honest with you. And to be completely honest, I'm not a viewfinder guy. Like I have a Zacuto viewfinder that's still in the box that I bought 3 years ago. Never opened it. Just want to say I appreciate the answer question about the eye cup rotation in the video. Couldn't find an answer anywhere. Yeah, man, that was the viewfinder on the body, I think, is a thing that bugs me the most because I know that's going to get me annoyed either when I'm hunched over trying to see, or if I try to shoulder rig it, and it's not like the Blackmagic cameras where the viewfinder could come out a little bit. So if I'm holding a camera here, then the viewfinder could like just move it in front of my face, and I could only I could just tilt over instead of completely lean over to the side. Also, the range of motion kind of gets flubbed up whenever you use the stuff on the hot shoe, which like if the advice is to not use those things, then it kind of defeats the functionality of it in a lot of ways. Can you use macro lenses for regular use and close-ups? Technically, yes. You just have to adjust your focus, but the focus might be a little different, but technically, yes. Coming from an A7 II, is this good enough? I think any camera, to be honest with you, is going to be good enough. I think you just have to figure out how much money you have to spend and then just evaluate all the other options that are available. Funny just picked up an A6700 for travel purposes, have an FX30 as well. It's a pretty good combination, and you don't have to worry too much about changing lenses or color signs because they're the same sensor. I need a good vintage lens, but not too vintage. If you're going to go vintage, go all the way. I think the Helios lenses are really popular. Iron Glass is a really popular set. Remotely. Hey, that's probably okay. That explains a lot more. You get to work from home and then do some busy work and get paid. I'm down for that. Lumix is a nice intro to overall Beast purchase once, and just put the work in after that. Yeah, man. That's exactly what my thoughts are. I think once you kind of get into any of those systems in that $25, $30, $200 range, especially stuff that's come out this year, at this point we're just talking skill issue and like what makes it easier for your workflow. My results have been real mushy. Colors look flat. Shooting besides. Chris Flores, that is a crux of 12,800. It's still going to give you the most dynamic range, but you do have quite a little bit of noise. If you ever look at the dynamic range chart on the FX3 at 12,800, you actually lose like a stop. So that might give you some of your noise issues. Truthfully, I actually shoot at lower ISOs. So like I would shoot at 800 and I would add light, but I don't know what your situation is, whether or not you can do that. What is some advice you give someone starting into videography and trying to upgrade to more? So, Deep, what I would say first is I wouldn't necessarily upgrade first. I would work on what your work looks like with what you have, and then upgrade accordingly as you have different gigs. One mistake that I made was like every opportunity I had to buy a new piece of gear, especially in the first couple of years, I would buy it and flip it and buy it and flip it and buy it and flip it, where you could hold on to a lot of the value with gear by doing that. Like you could like not lose too much when you do it quickly, but also you get into this rabbit hole of constantly flipping gear, which sucks sometimes. Um, but I think one of the things that you can do, kind of getting into things and getting started, is truthfully just practice on the stuff that like you've already kind of seen and try to throw what your like things that you like about it and then mash that up into some sort of mixture of what your style is. Because a lot of times people develop their style by just doing stuff they've already seen and then adding the spin to it. Yeah. So that's yeah. So Chris, it is going to be a little bit noisy. Like truthfully, you're going to try to want to overexpose, and then bring an ND in to bring things down. But despite the fact that you still get really clean 12,800 versus a lot of other cameras, especially at the time when it came out, it still has a little bit of noise. Otis in the thumbnail. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Zeiss Otis in the thumbnail. Yes, that is a Zeiss Otis lens. That's my buddy Rich's 85 millimeter. He just bought a new one. FX30 can't trigger flash, and the A67 lacks internal fan and CF Express slot. Once using them, I can't stand SD cards. That's fair. CF Express Type A and B are pretty solid. Yep, same. Haven't updated my reel. My website since 2021. I think it's yeah. I gotta do it, man. I gotta do it. Left eye dominant. That's my issue with the EVF. Even if I use my right eye, man, that top handle still punched me in the forehead. Like I tried it. It left like even if the camera's on this side on this eye, it's like the top handle's like right here on my face. So like even then, I tried it on both sides. It did not work. I think the FX2 was right at 2,000. It would be more attractive if I saw Mondo's video with the Sony rep. If we can get removal of Viewfinder FX3, I would buy a second FX3. I would love to see the removal of Viewfinder, kind of like the GFX 100 Mark II. I posted a reel on that, and I did not expect that many people to watch that reel. But I think that would have been a nice option. I think that would have been, especially for people like me that like, I don't necessarily need a viewfinder in a tiny camera like that. It doesn't make a ton of sense for what I need it for. And if I do need one, I usually would have it like set up on rods, and that way it could come out a little like the exact same way the FX6 works, where you could adjust it. How's Sony stabilization so bad? I don't know. I did not like the dynamic active. I tried it and it had these weird like almost vibrations in the image every time I used it, which was super weird, and I was not a big fan. What's the point of the FX2? Is it meant to be more affordable FX3, or is it its own thing? I hear the yeah, it is supposed to be kind of its own. It's not an FX3 replacement or upgrade. I think it was Sony needed something to be between the 30 and the 3 because there's a $2,000 difference between the two, and sometimes even more than $2,000. So something in between actually makes a lot of sense. I just don't know if that was the right horse to bet on to put between the two cameras. But that being said, Philip Bloom did a petition years ago and had 2,000 signatures. So I think what ended up happening is the same thing that happened with like Sony Pictures and Morbius, where enough people on Reddit bullied Sony Pictures to re-releasing Morbius, even though it was a terrible movie and nobody watched it. When enough people are loud enough and Sony's like, yeah, okay, we could do that, they'll release it, and that's what ends up happening. So hopefully the 1,871 people that really wanted that viewfinder on a body are happy, but evidently not everybody else is happy. Nikon Z5 looks like a good competitor. I think so. I think the only thing with Nikons that I'm having an issue with is my Z6 III. Whenever I have it on a monitor and I press record, my monitor like flickers and resets and then comes back on again, which gets a little bit annoying because it's not like 1 second. Sometimes it's just like it's too long, and it worries me every time. FX2 is a perfect talking head camera and great for corporate tripod shoots. I don't mind it. But I have an A7 IV clip fan, so I don't need it. Lenses are more important than new cameras, in my opinion. True. I will say though, like most people and most brands have a 16 to 35 and 18, a 24, 35, 50. Like your standard focal lengths pretty much are available everywhere. And the idea that you're going to pay $3,000 to pay $4,000 on lenses later is hard when the marketing for it is for film students, entry-level filmmakers, and wedding videographers starting out. So it's like, it's mixed messaging, right? Like, which one is it? Is it a entry-level camera, which, I mean, if you've checked on film students' bank accounts after they graduate, they don't have $2,700. Is it the pro workflow camera, which then I would probably say you have enough money for an FX3? Like, it's a weird placement and a weird value prop for everything. A friend of mine is between the A7 Mark IV and the FX30, but an FX2 would have been ideal for him. Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't work for everybody. It works for some people. It's just that list isn't the largest list in the world, especially when you consider the rest of the competition. I think where Sony did really, really well, even when like the A7 3 days, A7S 3 days, even the AV7 3 days, there wasn't a camera that competed with it on everything. Now there is, so the conversation of those things are going to get brought up, right? Like there wasn't a Nikon Z8 in 2022, 121. When the A7S 3 came out, like there wasn't any other camera that can do the things that it can do at that price point. Now that there is, and I think that's what creators are being a bit more privy to. Sort of holding pattern until more information around the rumored ZR camera comes around. Yeah, I'm very curious about that rumored ZR. No one knows, and no one's gonna know till like, I don't know, till you start seeing the rumor sites and stuff. I don't think you're gonna see anything. Who is calling me? Yeah, I'm not answering that. Point is money grab. To be fair, Vidal, I'm going to be really fair with you. Pretty much every business. Hang on one second. Make sure I'm in focus. I'm real with you. Every single business is trying to grab money. We do it. When we put a price tag on raw footage, we're doing a money grab because we know we're not doing any extra work for it. So like realistically, that's just, it's business, man. What are your thoughts about the Mod TV lenses popping up in work lately? Love the character with them. Mod TV. I haven't seen them. What's up, brother? Would you get the FX2 or wait to see what Sony's going to bring with the A7 V? I would just wait, especially if it's something that like may come out in this calendar year. I would wait. There's nothing about the FX2 that would make me get rid of my A7C2. Mind you, I don't like, only when I'm streaming does it overheat, and everything else I haven't had a problem. I mean, just hold out, man. If you like, unless you need something for it, like right this second, I just chill out, man. You don't like, just because cameras came out and a lot of content came out doesn't mean you have to buy it like right this second. That's coming from somebody that covers a lot of launch day stuff. You don't have to get it right now. In fact, like we put up these videos and they're never deleted because like you could always go back and watch them and like see them at a later time. You don't got to get anything now, man. It's cool. We'll love your input on something starting out freelance, but with corporate video experience. Go to the FX3 or go ZV1. Sorry, I just mumbled that because I was reading it. I would maybe say if those are your only options, I would just get an FX3. Because if the FX2 is going to be like kind of I would just get an FX3, to be honest with you. I don't care about the viewfinder. And I want to have a camera that's going to be able to do more things. And if that difference is going to be $1,000, if you could save enough money, you could wait long enough, then I'd rather just be patient and get an FX3. I don't know if to get an FX3 or S1 Mark II or even wait for the FX3 Mark II, but also leaves less for lenses maybe. So I'd only choose the FX3 because... Omar, you could color grade anything to look flat or have pop to it or bring lenses or whatever the case is from an image perspective. I just think that the Lumix cameras kind of do it a little bit easier coming right out the gate. But realistically, I need to know what you're shooting and what you have already and how much you need autofocus. I mean, to be fair, the autofocus is kind of the same. Yeah, I need to know what you're shooting. I need to know what you're shooting and see what's important to you. That being said, if you don't have the money, the S1 II costs less money. Have you seen geeky nerdy tech videos and outperform the FX30 in every possible way? Kind of crazy sensor that small. Yeah, but to be fair, the GH7 I think is more money than the FX30. So like, I'm not that surprised that it would do that. To be fair, it's just a smaller sensor. But like the Alexa 35, I actually put it up beside the S1 II when I was doing the launch for that video. I just didn't have enough footage to make it like an actual clip inside the full video, and it beat the hell out of it. It wasn't even close. But it's a smaller sensor than the S1 II. So like, I could see that happening, especially when they cost almost the same amount of money. Armando, yeah, man, thank you. That took a lot of time. That was a very, very long video. If you guys want to spend 40 minutes watching my FX2 versus S1 IIe video, you guys can do that, but it's very long. It's a long watch. It's morbid time. Yeah, that was so. I feel like Sony has this habit of like, if the right small contingent of people are loud enough, they'll just give you what you want, especially if it doesn't cost them that much money. And I think that's kind of how we got the FX2. But thinking about getting the Pixis 12K, thoughts about switching from Sony to BM. Hey, New Motions, if you don't care about autofocus, especially like because the Pixis hasn't got it yet, at least in a significant way, I'm getting a Pixis 12K. I know the date that I'm kind of know the date that I'm getting it. I know exactly when around I'm getting it. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I've already bought like my matte box, my filters. I'm working on a lens kit. I think I'm going to test out the Nisi Aureus lenses, because they actually are a really decent size. But I'm going to do that for the next little bit. And I think that's going to be my kit. It's going to be the Aureus lenses with the Pixis 12K. And then I'll get a couple of lenses that have more character. And unfortunately, like I have my Blaze Remus lenses. I broke my 45. So I got to buy a 45 and a 33 now. I know it's an FX2 chat, but I'm dying to have you know if you have your hands on the Pixis 12K. Honestly, the FX2 is just the title. I'll be real with you. I always just put that as a title for SEO purposes because there's like 64 of you in the chat, and there'd be a lot less if I put it anything else. I don't have my hands on the Pixis 12K yet. I've used the Ursa 12K quite a bit, and I still think I'm going to probably do that by the end of the summer. I'll probably buy myself one, but I don't have the Pixis yet. But I have used that sensor, and it is so good, and I am very excited for everyone who pre-ordered one. Wow, that was a terrible sound. Also, thank you for the transparency and sharing your tips and journey on this platform. Hook a brother up with a hat brand too. Those are clean. This hat is from a burger restaurant in Vancouver, BC. One of the things I'm trying to do is every time I travel, if I forget to take pictures, is I want to get a hat from a restaurant that I liked while I was there. And it was a burger place. It was really good. You think the FX3 version of the the S1 II is coming? Not soon. Like eventually it will, which will be interesting because I'm very curious to see what Sony's messaging is if they do add like OpenGate and all the other stuff we asked for, that they're like, hey, you don't need that. We'll give you what you need. Like, I wonder what that conversation is going to be like. But yeah, just because they didn't release a camera that everybody likes doesn't mean that they're failing as a company. I don't think that's fair to say. Yeah. USC film students have FX30s. I think there's already an entry-level film camera for Sony already. That was kind of what I was alluding to when they said it was for film students, because I don't know, back in my day when I graduated with my finance degree, I didn't have no $2,700 for a camera body. I had $800. I got what was it, like a Sony A5000, because that's all the money that I had. And like, that was me working during school. I don't know. The messaging for it, like, I think the camera, in my opinion, should have come out a little while ago. But also, I think the messaging around when it did come out was just weird. It was weird. It was weird. I can admit that. Non-Sony user here just got the Ursa Cine 12K. Hoping we get some Sony like AF this year. Thomas, I need you to, everyone go follow Thomas, because I also want the chat to peer pressure Thomas to posting as much footage as humanly possible. I am working on getting mine in the next little bit. Hang on one second. I'm working on mine in the next little bit, and once I have that, I'm going to be so annoying because I will be shooting everything that's on there unless it's too heavy, and then I'll just use the Pixis instead. So, is shooting well worth it with FX3? Should be excited for B-RAW update and have compressed RAW. I used ProRes RAW, I think, for like bigger projects when I had time to like do the transcoding and all the other stuff. The files are gigantic. I do like externally recording because it kind of gives you a safety just in case. Raw is cool, I think, if you're gonna sit down and you're really gonna mess around with footage for a while. If you're someone that's like turning over an event or something like that, it's not. You don't need to. It's more trouble than what it's worth. But if it's something like a narrative project or a larger commercial or something you want to put on your reel, you want to kind of give yourself the most information possible. So that way, when you are making a reel, like it looks the best that it can. And Raw just gives you a lot more information to play around with. To which I hope I answered that question. I just switched. Aaron, I don't know what that means. Modified TV broadcast lenses used on mirrorless cameras for like crash zooms. Oh, yeah, I have seen that. I want one. I know what you're talking about. Now I know. And I want one. I don't think I could afford it, but I want one. Yeah, so in terms of streaming and overheating, I don't understand it either. A lot of cameras do it. Like it's not even just a Sony thing. I think Nikon gets pretty warm, Lumix gets pretty warm. I've never overheated a Lumix live streaming. Blackmagic doesn't overheat at all because it has a built-in fan. But I've never understood the whole. I don't know why. I wish I knew. The A6000 though also is pumping out like a 1080 signal, so I would assume the overheating is a lot less because it's um pumping out less information out of the sensor at a lower resolution. I want to create a YouTube channel for gear. What's the best help for storytelling? Use the stuff that you have because it's the easiest story to tell. Trying to make up a story on a piece of gear you spent less time with is a lot harder than just telling stuff about the stuff you've already had and used. Only mentioned because I've heard the issue with some Sony cameras lately. Yeah, some of the Sony cameras do. Like outside of the FX30 that has webcam utility, the FX3 had it and then it doesn't anymore. And then the FX6. So yeah, the alpha cameras like they get warm. Hey man, I just switched from Fuji to Sony due to superior autofocus and video features. Could have gotten an A7 IV, but ended up getting the A7C2 because the overall size is perfect. I'm glad that works out. It's funny because I might be getting more Fuji cameras because I really like them. I like them for photography. I don't really care about video too much. I have other cameras for like video, but I really like Fuji's photography. I just wish my S1R2 didn't overheat on me so damn much. It sucks because we're leaving to Ghana this week. Ooh, okay. And I have to buy a camera that wasn't going to overheat on me. We're shooting a documentary. Aaron, I'm super sorry that happened. I might be like the only person that has only had overheating once, and that was me being literally an idiot. Um, is there a way, possibly, that you could maybe switch that up with an S1 II? I know a lot of people had like the Matt Johnson, Matt Dang, you did overheating tests on both. And I think Matt Dang, you did like a really, really intensive test. And I think he set his house to like 95 degrees or something like that. And he didn't have too many issues, or I think he got like a super long amount of time continuously to be able to do that. But for me personally, like maybe it's because I live in Canada, but I've also taken my S1R2 to Maui. It only really happened once, and that was because I was in like like in every condition they tell you not to shoot in for any camera. I was in that, and I did it on purpose for half an hour. But yeah, really sorry about that. For what it's worth, though, there's a group chat of a bunch of us that have been giving information back to the Lumix engineers to hopefully get a firmware update to mitigate a lot of that stuff. So hopefully that gets fixed soon. But yeah, the overheating thing, it's a mixed bag, and for some people it's worse, some people it's better. But they are working on it. Like I think hound them almost every 12 hours. And there are some interim solutions, but also I don't feel like everybody should have to do the interim solutions, to be fair. Uh, yeah, man, I think you're gonna be fine. I mean, on the A7C2, you might have overheating being a smaller camera and not having a fan. But I mean, if you're starting off doing video work, I'm assuming you're not taking super long clips anyway. And if you are, then you could always you could reinvest over time into a better suited video specific camera. Hope learn a lot more from the Nikon ZR camera from this stream. I don't have any information about the Nikon ZR, so I don't know what you learned. Except got excited. Kofi, did you by chance see the Seven Artisans Infinite set at Cine Gear? Curious how they stand up as a budget lens set. Brendan, first of all, Brendan helped me out on a documentary with the S12 for 3 days straight and is one of the clutchest people to have on set. So thank you for coming through. I did see the Infinite set. I saw them at NAB, actually. I got an email to try them and then they just kind of disappeared. So I don't know much. They do look familiar to another set of lenses that I had years ago when I was shooting Canon, the Mikey Cine lenses. So I don't really know, but I want to try them out, see how they are. And I think that like it's a good price. I just don't know what they look like in practice, and hopefully I'll find out soon. Yeah, Thomas, you're absolutely right. So the Ursa does have a focus button. The Pixis has it too for native lamp mounts with electronic contacts in them. That's going to be part of the reason why it was funny because me and Michael Tobin were talking about perhaps because they have that contrast autofocus, like can they just turn into PDAF and continuous autofocus later? And then the next day the announcement happened and we were like, oh wow, they did it. So eventually, from what I heard, eventually autofocus is going to make it to the Pixis and the Ursas. It's just they only just started doing autofocus. So like the whole beta thing they had to do with like Red had to happen before they actually got it fully out of beta. It's going to be kind of the same with the Pixis and the Ursa. Agree. The Pixis 12K is the way to go for a 6 to 8 year usage cam. It's in our 2026 to get our live stream production, short, full length filming, streaming package ecosystem amazing. I think it's an amazing price too. Like even after the tariff increase at like 5,400, you're getting a lot of camera in there, and it's also like usually when people end up switching their cameras for is the ability to either get more frame rates or get more resolution or like, I mean, at a certain point, autofocus means a little bit less to you. Once you have that, I don't know where you go from there, and that's where I'm kind of at with like the Pixis 12K. Is that like I think end of July is when we're supposed to get them. Once you've done that, where do you go? And I don't think it's very far, especially when the high end market, from what I understand, is not doing so hot, and a lot of rental shops, at least I could say, are getting more Ursa camera bodies in the 17, the 12, and maybe even a couple Pixises. I could see that there's going to be a motion to get the smaller body cameras that are very, very capable because they used to not be. Once BM gets a AF2 Lumix levels, even Fuji levels, people will jump hard on them. I think even before that, people are going to jump pretty hard on them. I'm going to be real with you. Like, I am very excited to once these guys actually come out and they get in the wild. Having two Komodo OG cameras, the KX, and using the OG as beat cam a good move? Is the KX a real upgrade in IQ and ease of use compared to the OG Komodo? Yeah, the KX is a little bit of a bump. There's things that look a little bit better on it than the OG. That's up to you and your budget, bro. I mean, like if you're good with the two OGs, especially if you're only shooting like interviews and corporate stuff, I think you could even just stick with the OGs and then just get better lenses, to be honest with you. Because like the OG Komodo with Leica R's look really, really nice. And Leica R's, like by the time you buy a set of them, it's 1KX. Have you tried Bluetooth timecode on the new Lumix cameras? Does that mean I can sync them with no external device? That'd be amazing for multicam interviews, weddings, etc. Wayne, yes, I have. If you want to see a better video, go to Photo Joseph because I used his when we were in Austin. I think I left that part out of the video because there was no like. I have the clip of him syncing the Bluetooth syncing the time code via Bluetooth, and then I don't have anything else after that because I didn't get everybody else's footage to sync it up. But he probably has a good video on being able to do the Bluetooth sync. Some people don't like it because they want to use BNC connection, which is just like a hardwire, but you know, it's 2025. But it worked fine from what I saw. Cam stream yesterday was cool. Writer's room and everyone was watching was involved. I think the complete SHILL Team 6 crew should pick a narrative story and create a live stream film with it. We've talked about that quite a few times. I think the hardest part is that I'm in Toronto, Terry's in Ohio, Cam's in California. So we would have to fly up to do it. And with the schedule that we've had for travel, when I tell you that I'm so excited to like not really leave for the next 3 months, I'm so excited to not leave my house for the next 3 months. Cine Gear was my 13th flight out of the house for more than 3 days. I'm not going to build, I don't think. It's very unlikely. And I want to just like stay home and kind of like work on my own stuff, which at some point in this conversation, we'll get into talking about filmmaking opportunities, especially leveraging YouTube in order to get there. Um, but yeah, that definitely will be eventually. I just don't know if that's going to be right now. About the FX2 S1 F2, I'll be doing some creative projects, lots of editing, also some nature scenery close-ups, but nothing major. Birds to be in the FX2 feels any. Not really. I would say they're both pretty much like you'll see me use the cinema cameras or documentary cameras. To be fair, I've shot documentaries on the FX3. Um, Realistically, documentary is always going to be the type of film that you make, not necessarily the camera you're going to use. And also, if the idea for that is the audio top handle, like it's 32-bit float on the Lumix version, and it's cheaper. So I think you could do both on either. But it depends on your budget, man. I mean, the S1 II is cheaper and has almost all the shooting modes, less the. It's now the autofocus is kind of hit or miss. It depends on what you're going to compare it to. It's really tough to say definitively, but they're pretty. It holds up close enough, and for the price point, to make a lot of sense. Also, if you see me scratching my nose, it's because my mustache hairs are getting up in my nose, and it's driving me insane, and I can't get rid of it. Hey, Sean's in the chat. This is Papa Lumix in here. Uncle Lumix, Wolfa Lumix. Streaming heat is because the same processing is being done that happens while recording into the memory cards. Just instead of storing the image, it's outputting to either HDMI or USB. Oh, okay, that makes sense. The Sony ZV-E10 is the new student filming camera, S-Log3, all-eye, 60 frame MBS, streaming capability, powerful features. I maybe it depends on what film school, because I know the one in Toronto does not use a ZV-E10 Mark II. Their FX30s, I know TMU has the Venice 1, and then FX3s. But I think it also depends on your school. But I mean, like, yeah, if you can't afford another camera, and like you're talking about like someone who's just buying one, the ZV-E10 II does have the same sensor as the FX30, and I think it's half the price. I think it's only $999, so it's a pretty attractive price for the same sensor. Yeah, our main photographer uses Fuji, and they have the best image out of camera. Period. I did not realize how much I'm big Fuji until like I got my GFX 50R, which out of every camera that's going to be in this house, that 50R will never leave this house. And if the 50R does leave this house, I was threatened. I was held captive. I was probably beaten. Something happened to me that made me sell that camera. That is not good. But that 50R is one of my favorite cameras. Why'd you leave the red Komodo X? Because I could go to a rental shop and get it from anywhere, where at the time where I had one, I didn't have to, or I couldn't. And getting paid to rent out your camera or put it as a kit fee when there's other rental houses, and like 9 of them in Toronto that all have KXs, it meant a lot less. Also at the time, I had a pretty much running unlimited whenever you want it rental on the Venice, which kind of defeated the purpose of having a Komodo X, to be honest with you. Not here in CA. There isn't stock anywhere. For the S1 II. That might change. Sean, if you're in the chat, I think the S1 IIs ship soon. I think. Sean, if you're in the chat, let us know when we're expecting to see S1 IIs. I don't know what the conversation is in Canadian, but people are selling broadcast lens for 160 plus with the 70. Oh, hey, yo, Groovy, send me that in Instagram. I want to see that. So about a Z6 III. I love the Z6 III, except that whole monitor thing really gets on my nerves. If you press the record button, you'll know exactly what I mean. Free does have issues on overheating longer shoot. Wish I had a better heat solution. Sean, if you're in the chat, if you have some heat tips, on my S1 II, I have had no problems. On my S1 R2, it's happened once. My S1 IIe, it's not happened at all, because it's the same sensor as the S5 IIX. So I didn't expect it to overheat, and it still hasn't. But overheating tips until there's a firmware update for it. Planning on tuning build. I will be there, looking forward to getting my hands on the FX2 to see what everybody's talking about. Miguel, it is incredibly unlikely. And truly, I'm just burnt out. Like I've traveled so many times for a variety of different reasons that I'm ready to like stay at home, work on projects that like I want to work on, and pursue opportunities locally, because I can't always just leave the country all the time. And I feel like I haven't worked as much. I haven't done as much like increasing my skills as a filmmaker because I've been gone so much. So I don't think I'm going to go to build. From your point of view, what's the best camera you've worked with for hybrid shooting? That's not fair because those cameras I've used the longest, so I'm more biased to them. That would be like the A7 III because I had that for like the absolute longest. Hybrid shooting, shoot, I've used cinema cameras for a long time now that she's mentioned that. I am probably going to say the S1 too. I'm going to say the S1 too until I'm convinced myself a compelling reason to say otherwise, which currently I don't. Watching from Rwanda, hey, what's going on? I love what you do on YouTube. I'm currently considering investing in older red cameras. Healing the Red Dragon are appealing to me now as I see myself growing as a cinematographer. Hey, underrated. Just get used stuff. Get the stuff. I remember like what the Helium used to be like $80K, and I think it's a significantly less money now. It's still good now, even though it's older. So I mean, if you have the budget and you have the time, I'd say go for it. It was, yeah, I'm from Fresno, California, where it gets super hot. Then when I'm shooting commercial interviews, shut down. We're lucky you had bought the Z6 III for a backup. Yeah, I'm very curious if anyone, when you guys do get your S12s, I don't know if you'll get overheating. I don't think so. I haven't, but then again, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I have a unicorn copy of both. If you guys might ended up getting him to hit me up, I'd love to help out again. Pick him an Avenger. Oh, okay. Brendan, there might be something I gotta text you about later after the stream. Yeah, the Red Dragon's really nice. That's why it used to cost like your whole life back in the day. Feels here compared to the Pixis 12K compared to the S12. The only frame of reference I have is the Ursa 12K. But also keep in mind that like the Pixis 12K is $2,200 more money. So if we're gonna go on image quality, like it's kind of not fair. But I think I'm gonna be able to use both in conjunction pretty well. It's the ecosystem we focus on with broadcast, social media, B2B, B2C, and develop a brand around be able to offer as a production house. APC, I don't know what that was an answer to. I forgot. My memory is very bad. But yeah, I do like. I'm excited for Blackmagic. I'm excited for like. I feel like Lumix and Blackmagic and Fuji are kind of doing the same things, but in their own respective kind of categories. So in terms of like the vibey photography camera that would normally be like Leica people, Fuji's kind of pressing up on that community. In terms of like the hybrid cameras that have like high specs, high resolution, autofocus, all the other stuff, and a bunch of other abilities, Lumix is kind of doing that. In terms of disrupting the cinema camera market, where high-end cameras aren't being taken out as much, you have Blackmagic. I think that's really cool. Ezra Jaska, the 12 is the closest way to get to an ARRI level sensor, but the S12 is for the hybrid shooter, not really. Yeah. You can use them in a A and B camera. What's going on, Evan? Thoughts on the FX6 in 2025? They haven't released anything to compete with the FX6. Like nobody has. So until there's a ND filtered, higher resolution, high frame rate, run and gun dock style type of camera, I would say it's still more than fine. I mean, to be fair, there's the, what was it? The C400. How much is the C400? Let me just check. I actually don't know how much the C400 is. Because I know the C400 has like more stuff in it, but I think the part with, I think the argument where like lens ecosystem comes into play, that's a detriment, is when we're talking about Canon, because they've just closed their mount off to everybody else. It's not necessarily like the L mount where they're expanding their lenses and those camera companies didn't make full frame L mount lenses, because full frame L mount for video didn't really exist for a while, or not as long. Hang on, C400. C400 is great. It's just, and the C400 is $2,000 more. So I think it's going to be, I think you're fine. I felt that part about autofocus meaning less after a certain point. That's me right now buying FD lenses. Yeah, you guys will like, the hard part is, and it's an unfortunate reality you'll have to come to, is that like as you want cinema lenses, as cinema lenses get cheaper, how good autofocus is also gets flown out of the window because most cinema lenses don't have autofocus. So if that's something, like if you're getting into, I guess, the cinematography side of things, cinema lenses are going to be part more of your conversation. And then it's kind of going to directly oppose the idea of like, do you need the best AI, super tack sharp robot autofocus? Not really, because on your DZO Vespid Primes, it's not even going to work. Do you know rental houses in the GTA that actually carry L-mount lenses? Vistec is a no. Seems like the rise in popularity of Lumix. This is going to change. Conrad, I'll be real with you, man. A lot of rental houses don't keep mirrorless stuff at all. Like I was just talking to Revolt about getting a mini LF for a project. They don't have autofocusing lenses. Your closest bet would be like Viva Studio and Etobicoke, but they're still very much Sony. They're very anti-Lumix, so I don't think you're gonna find L-mount autofocus lenses there. I'm trying to think of where you would find them. It would be Vistec, truthfully. L-mount autofocus lenses, it would be Vistec, 100%. Or like if you just need something, if you have a PL mount adapter, you can pretty much go anywhere and get any lens because it'll all be PL mounted. Hey, I thought I had by the time the FX3 comes out, the Venice will be the same price used as close to the A. Oh, wait, the Venice is close to the A9 Mark III A1 used. I might have to go to the UK because it's so much money here. It's like $30,000 here still. I want to buy the A6400 as my first camera. I don't know which lens to go with it. I want it for photo and video. Probably the highest aperture, longest zoom at the cheapest price that you can find. I'm not too sharp on APS-C autofocus lenses for Sony. So the 12K sensor. I think the 12K sensor is going to be great. Lumix gang question incoming. Am I crazy or would an S9 style camera for Micro Four Thirds not do numbers for Lumix? I don't know. That one's a tough one because I as much as I would love if the S9, just to make people shut up, really added the viewfinder. And had all the same everything else. It just had like, if the S9 had like the A7C2 body, I think everybody would shut up and it'd be a great camera. But also Lumix, Sean, if you're listening to this, we want pancake lenses. I don't care if they got to be like F2 or like F2.8. But we need some pancake lenses. We need like a little, be like a little like 24 millimeter f2.5 or like, and I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, well, why don't you just use the I series lenses? And I have them, but like it could be like half as big. Like if you look at this guy, like this is pretty small, but like where the aperture ring is, like if that was the lens, kind of like the kit lens you guys made, like this guy, like this with like a faster aperture, this little guy, even if it does this, I don't even care. I don't care if it does this. I don't care. That for this would be awesome. Please do that. Pixel 6K or S12. I'm gonna say Pixel 6K. I like my cinema lenses. I like my raw capabilities. I like my image quality. I like my XLR ports. I'm gonna say my Pixels for like, especially if I'm thinking like I'm doing a commercial, I'm working with teams. I'm gonna pick the Pixels. And it's gonna get even better when the Ursa, like that Ursa sensor is sick. But I would say that over the S12, and especially I'd say that for most other people, because I could understand that like most people aren't working in teams of 2, let alone like 6 to 8. And some people will rely on autofocus or want a smaller camera or only be able to have one camera, so they need it to do a bunch of stuff. I would say personally for me the Pixis, but for everybody else, for most other people, I'd say the S12. Sorry, but finally, what about lenses? The FX3 S12 mount more lenses options. I don't know. You can't compare, but the price quality difference in Lumix Sony lenses. If you have any idea what I don't, Omar, I'm gonna try to understand what you said there, but I would say, Omar, I want you to ask yourself which lenses are missing from L mount that you need that Sony has, and if they're like the $4,000 28 to 70, I don't know how to help you there. But if they're like other standard focal lengths, you could probably find them. Should I buy the Mantis lenses to use rent on ShareGrid? I don't have ShareGrid, so I don't know how that market is. We don't have ShareGrid in Canada. S12s should be available any day now in the US, likely next week, as long as dealers order enough and process their stocking quickly. So there's your answer. You guys are looking for an S12 and you're looking for it to ship. I mean, it's come out months after the S1R2, but from my experience at least, there's way less worry about overheating, especially because it outputs at a lower resolution, even downsampled from the S1R2, which is all 8K. This one's coming down from 6, which Lumix has proven that like that works more than fine. Most definitely beside it, I believe having such gear forces you to think and plan your shots more as like a cinematographer. There's a learning curve to do it, and that's amazing. Truth to be told, even when you have autofocus, faster cameras, slower cameras, everyone should be doing pre-production. Whether you're using a A5000 or a Mini LF or an ARRI Alexa 35, I think everybody should benefit from planning out your shots. So I agree with you, but I also would say that we should be doing that regardless of which camera it is. Hot tips for the S1R2. Shoot to SSD to move internal heat out. Possibly look at the grip battery, so you should have a failover for any power. Sean, in that meantime too, with some of the overheating stuff, is there a somewhat of a roadmap of a firmware update or some sort of remedy that you can kind of update your camera from to mitigate some of those issues? I know people are some people are asking for it. It's not a personal problem of mine, but Canon managed to figure out how to reduce their overheating quite a bit. I can only assume that that's going to be a thing for Lumix, and given their track record of firmware updates, it's probably on a faster turnaround. Is this an upgrade for the FX3 or lesser? It's not an upgrade to the FX3. The FX2 is very much something that sits between the FX30 and the FX3. They just used a sensor that's not in line with how that trajectory goes, in my opinion, which I think people are a little bit upset about, and rightfully so. I think if you're going to spend the money, I think you should be able to have an opinion in either direction. Keep cameras, any of them, out of direct sunlight. This is the biggest factor. IR heating exponentially can shorten thermal overhead. Simple flagging over the camera body will keep them in the shade. Fair enough. And that's what happened to my camera. So in Maui, the Maui video for the S1R2, I put it in the back of the truck with no AC, and like the window from the car with the direct sunlight shone right into it. I was shooting 8.1K and it overheated in about 30 minutes. Can make a big difference. Okay, there you go. So that's... Also, if you use internal memory cards, I would 100% recommend the Next Storage B2 Pro cards. Sean, I don't know if you can do it in the chat, but can you put up the link for the approved list of card brands that you can use with the Lumix cameras? Because I know that there was a mention about the card brand type actually generating more heat, some more than others. But if you could put that in the chat, it would help out people a lot. Any ideas on what S1H would be capable of? Yo, I have no idea. I have no clue. I don't know. And the thing is, I'm like, I couldn't even, like, what would the wish list be? Like, oh, can we have like 422 in 6K? Okay. Like, I don't know. I would love if there's overheating issues, like maybe that like doesn't happen, and whatever ways to make that not happen would be cool. And like, I don't know, the others, I think Lumix would benefit a lot from having like their version of an FX6. I don't know what you're going to call it. But if the S1H is just going to be a hybrid camera too, I don't know what I'd be asking for. I don't know. Maybe they use like the Nikon Z8 sensor, and then they do the things they did with the S1 II and stretching that sensor out. If they can get the Nikon Z8 sensor, that would be cool. But outside of that, I truly don't know. I don't know. And I think we're spoiled now. I think we're spoiled to the point where like I don't know what I'm going to ask for if someone was to ask. Lastly, oh, okay, I answer that. Sounds good. Hey, let's go. The Lumix overheating issue usually is when you're doing a combination of monitor 4K output, bitrate, high recording internally, or live management broadcast while doing internal recording. Yeah, maybe, you know what? And also, like, this might be it's going to be a lukewarm take, and Sean's here. He'll know what I'll say. Maybe it's not the broadcast camera for everybody. It might not be the broadcast camera. Like, I think what ends up happening is when we say hybrid cameras, we think it could do everything under the sun in photo and video. And I think the idea is that if like there's a spectrum between photo, like absolutely like making Hollywood movies, and like commercial photography, hybrid cameras range operates like in kind of the middle, but not too far to the extremes. So perhaps this just isn't the camera for that application, which is another L-mount camera that does. It's actually like 5 of them. 4 1 pixels. There's like 5 of them. Crazy we're gonna see an S. It was like Solo Leveling. Yeah, if you watch Solo Leveling, that makes me really mad that we are probably gonna see the S1H2 before season 3 of Solo Leveling. And if they are gonna wait this long, if you give me a 12 episode season, I'm gonna flip tables. If you're gonna make me wait till what 2027 for Solo Leveling season 3, 24 episodes minimum, or I will flip tables 100%. We might see the S1H2 before we see the next Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. Chew that one up for a second. Borrow lenses, lens rentals, L-mount lenses. Sean, is there a Canadian version of that? Because we don't have those, and I don't know if they ship to Canada. Would you ever pick up a Canon? I mean, if I had no cameras, it wouldn't. Right now, for me to pick up a new camera would be solely for impulsive purposes, or to have fun. And mostly because I already have a lot of cameras. So there wouldn't I don't know where I would put a Canon camera or which one it would be, because it wouldn't solve any problem that a camera that I already have, I don't already have. So that would be, yeah. Oh, Sigma made a comment about pancake lenses recently, didn't they? I didn't see that, but now I'm here for it because I would love, like Brendan even said it too, I would love some pancake lenses for my S9. I would also, I mean, like, if y'all can put a viewfinder in the S9, I mean, I'm not going to be upset about that either. I'm just saying it would make people yell at me less. Add a hot shoe, not a cold shoe, and the EVF to the S9 is take you out. Yeah, that's fair too. If we can get a hot shoe in there too. But then also Sean said, yeah, you're looking at an S52 size with that EVF. I'll be real. You know what? If there's a different way to engineer, like maybe putting a flash on it, I think that would help out a lot. I just don't know. I am not electrically engineered as well to do that. So good point. Oh, they cannot fit it. Yeah, or mechanical shutter to the stabilization unit taking up pretty much all of the internal space. Yeah, that makes sense. If you want to be able to uphold, yeah, and like I would rather have IBIS than mechanical shutter. I could deal with rolling shutter. It's fine, especially when I know it's a camera that's not going to be like a serious camera. Is there any way a GH8 can justify its existence, or do you think GH7 as far as I can push it? That's a Sean question, bro. I don't know. But also, like, what would be in a GH8? We don't know. Like, we will ask for it, but then, like, if someone's like, "Well, what do you want in it?" You're like, "I don't know. I don't have an answer." So, I don't have an answer. Sigma is the best star with equivalent in 24 to 75 full frame lens with 2.8. Yeah, okay. So that answers the lens question for APS-C, I think. So I'm working on with my FX30 for almost 2 years now. I want to learn more cinematic. I have the the Sirui Nightwalkers, manual lens correction. Suggest while learning, I would probably get lens coverage in the Nightwalkers you already have. I think they have a 16, 25, 35, 50, 75, and like something else. Yeah, just like if you already have the lenses, you may as well just keep going, and then just learn and then have your coverage, and then you can learn with those. Yep, that makes sense. Anyone that's closer to 28 than 24 on Super 35. No idea yet on thermals, but we're 100% taking the info to the engineers, seeing what can be done. I don't want to promise over there, but the photos 50-50 camera. Yeah, so Sean's basically saying what like I was kind of saying, like the S1R2, I don't think it's supposed to be 100% video, 100%. Like I don't think it's supposed to be 75% photo or 75% video. Maybe there's going to be other cameras that could swing more on the opposites, but it's meant to be 50-50, and I think the 50% of like the S1R2 is shorter clips that are going to be higher resolution, but like I wouldn't necessarily say like, oh, I'm going to make this like a professional documentary camera because of its limitations on readout and heat capacity and stuff like that. For like same reasons why the A7R5 wouldn't fit that bill either. Kind of the S1R2. Like if I was to think of any way to make that make sense, is I would treat the R5, the A7R5, and the S1R2 kind of that same thing where like it's a photo camera that does really well in photo, but it's obviously not a sports shooter. But then also when someone's like, "Hey, I know you're taking photo, but like, can you get us a video?" You can do that at a very high capacity with all the features in there. And if the question's like, why does it have open gate and all the other stuff? Is because Lumix cameras already did have that, and I think it's actually more expensive to take them away than it is to just leave them in there in the first place. Can confirm Nextdoor's cards have far less thermal output while recording. It's coming from Scott Belcom himself, who, are you still driving through Canada to get to Alaska? I actually don't know if you got there yet. My only request in the S1H2 blackout design so Zach Mayfield doesn't have to spray paint his model again. Hey, Sean, that's for you. That's not for me. Red Dragon, what's your budget for lenses? 1,000, 2,500, 6,000, or several packages, 3 lenses for cinema. Okay, guys, talking to Red Dragon. Best recommendation for a go-to lens for the, best recommendation for a lens to go to is thinking about the Sigma FX30. No, man, Frosty, I think you'll just be fine with that. I think start off with that and then keep going. Does release of the FX2 mean that we can get a software and hardware update for the FX6 through the end of this year? I hope they do. I mean, last year they said they were going to get the Blackmagic Raw update at the end of, truthfully, I think they said September of this year. So hopefully so, but who knows, man? And who knows if it's going to brick your camera too. There, I said it. Also, there are 67 people in here and 23 likes. I didn't ask, and I went almost an hour not saying anything, but I'm just letting you know that I notice. Have been 100% great for type A and type B. No, have we? Oh, now have we? I don't know what that says, but I'm assuming you're saying the next word is great. Sorry, I don't know if it's dyslexia or that was typed. There's a typo there, but yeah, no, I can see that. 1,600 range. I don't think I need to go. Oh, okay, you guys are just talking to each other. In terms of cameras you currently have, how do you handle any decision fatigue about what kit to use, assuming they're all capable enough to do the job? Giovanni, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell 5 camera bodies. That's what I'm going to do. Not 5, less than 5, 3. I'm going to just sell them. Here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Guess what? Doing YouTube, sometimes you get free stuff. And guess what? After 8 months of having it, if you have a camera that suits the needs of the other camera that you had before, I don't want to keep it just to make sure that I don't get bullied on the internet. So I'm just going to get rid of them and then start buying other stuff. The reason why is because I only have 2 hands and 2 eyes. So if I need to kind of thin the herd and stuff, I'm just going to do it. I don't know which ones I'm going to get rid of. There's more cameras than I'd like to admit in this house. But getting rid of some of the decision fatigue is I'm just going to get rid of them. And internet be damned if that is a thing that I should not be allowed to do, but hoarding technology in my house for the sake of nothing, I'm not doing that. I'm too old. Life is too short, and I'm too young, black, and beautiful to be stressed out with things like that. So I'm going to probably just sell a bunch of stuff. The chest says the Sigma BF camera, I don't know functionally wise where it fits, but the kit is hella fly. The Sigma BF does look really pretty. I have not yet. I think my Sigma rep called me a little bit ago because I only got back from Cine Gear like a day and a half ago. But I will. Kobe, you doing a podcast again soon? I mean, dang, you have my phone number. Just ask me. You got my phone number. If you need a podcast episode, just jump in, bro. Sitting here looking at the S1H on my desk. It's never leave my house, but 70 stops of total dynamic range, 32 blue float internal, triple base ISO, E and D. That box would be cool. The S1H2 for $5,000. I mean, that's a big ask. 17 stops? That's a big ask, bro. I mean, 32-bit float internal, if the body would have to be bigger, because you would just put the internals from the audio module in the body, I would assume. Do we need triple base ISO? Do we need triple base ISO, or do we just need a really clean 5,000? Because I don't use 12,800. Even like I barely used it when I had the FX6. It was clean. It came in clutch sometimes, but like I wouldn't say that was like 50% of the time I used it. It was maybe like 15 to 20. But do we need triple? I don't know. Sean, tiny MFT camera. The people have spoken. We have A decade-old camera's holding the price $1,000 for Micro Four Thirds. Y'all Micro Four Thirds people are a gang. I was gonna say the other one, but you guys are a gang. Hey, if Lumix made a little viewfinder that sits on the S9 cold shoe, that's HDMI micro plug and play. I would buy one. I already 3D modeled it. Hey, Brendan, talk to Sean. Sean, he's talking to you. That's not. Some of these aren't for me. Some of these aren't for me. Some of these are for Sean. So, hey, Scott, how's the temperature difference between living in Texas and then living in Alaska? Brendan, reach out. Some overseas people make it. Don't worry, bro. I hit the like button twice to make up for those slackers. Hey, respects, bro. That is not for me. You are correct. They do have that on the website, and I think they do a pretty decent split for it. Are you looking at testing the Pixis 12K and probably to replace for 6K? I'm definitely going to look at getting one. I don't think it's going to replace my 6K. I think my 6K is probably going to stay here. Or like I'll stay in the office and it'll be an office camera or like a super emergency C camera if something goes wrong with the other stuff that I brought to a shoot. But like, I would love the idea of the Pixis just staying here and we have really cool live streams and that looks cool. I don't know if I'll sell the Pixis. I don't think I will. I don't think I will sell the Pixis. I don't think so. Yep, get rid of if you don't use. People will complain about anything anyways. Facts. Super facts. There are camera bodies that are in this house that I think that I was very into in last November, and then something came out that I think is more attractive to what my use cases are. And when new information is presented, you change your mind on things, and I'm gonna just do that in the next couple of days because like right now my house is a mess. Starting to become my recommendations for car. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Brenda, CC me on that email. Hey, you guys are just making a little product. What are we filming this live with? G-Hawk. Like Jayhawk, but like not. We're using the Pixis 6K. And I'm shooting on actually speaking of Sigma lenses, I'm shooting on the Sigma I Prime. They're like the little tiny guys, like they're like a lot smaller. Like these are this is like the I 50 millimeter, and I mean the 18 is the same size as the 50, but like this is smaller by a little bit, actually quite a bit, actually. And these are already pretty small. It's a 24 millimeter f2, I believe. You're a Solo Leveling fan. Can't wait for season 3. Yeah, man, I've been an anime fan. I'm gonna go watch because today I'm done. I'm 2 videos ahead, and I'm pretty much done them. I have a call at like 3 o'clock, and then I got to drop off this GFX 100RF back to Fuji because the office is in the same city as me. But I'm gonna go finish watching Windbreaker, Fire Force, and I'm pretty sure Don comes out like next month. I think season 2 is next month. Agreed. Sold everything just to use my Nikon ZF and my GoPro for making content. I also have a few 35 millimeter film cameras I use here and there, and don't plan on selling those. I think everybody has the camera that they're like, I'm not going to get rid of this thing. For me, it's a GFX 50R. But there are some cameras in this house that I'm like, I don't need them. I don't need them. Some of them I'm like, why'd I even buy this? So I'm just going to get rid of them. And maybe get something else. Yeah, we really need a really clean 5K or 6K ISO. I agree. I don't necessarily think everybody needs 12,800, but like give me like a solid 5,000. I'm good. Because anything darker than that, I shouldn't be out there to begin with, or I should have had lights. Or I'll just buy an FX3 when they're cheaper when they're used because they're still $4,000 new. Yeah, if you say anything about Micro Four Thirds camera, the camera community goes wild on you. They're gangsters. Micro Four Thirds is a gang, and like the strongest gang I've ever seen. Micro Four Thirds, I think, are wilder than Sony people. Because I made that FX2 video, and people were so mad at me, and I'm like, I didn't even say it was. I said I didn't like the viewfinder. I don't like a lot of things about different cameras. I don't like the Z6 III's monitor turning on and off every time I shoot RAW. but people got really mad. But Micro Four Thirds people, they're the people that I feel like in a fight they wouldn't care who loses as long as you don't win. It's about 40 degrees colder in Anchorage right now, and I love it. Hey, you know what, Scott? Maybe you would make a good Canadian. Actually, Scott, if I was to guess anybody would make a good Canadian, then you make a great one. What does the FX3 Mark II spec sheet sound like? My name, Andrea Pizzini. I don't know. Brendan, the issue is power delivery. HDMI standard only supplies a very limited amount of power within spec, so it would be pretty difficult to find someone making that one that works fine. Okay, that's fair. Actually, Sean, for me in my hand size is very large. Like this is my S1R2. This can fit in the palm of my hand. That's how big my hands are. Would it be possible if we had like an S9 XL, which would mean it's still like this design of the body, but bigger, so that people named Kofi can put their hands on it, but then also have things like full-size HDMI and a viewfinder and a mechanical shutter and all the other stuff. Like if you just made a Lumix GFX 50R, I think that would be cool. Are you selling your FX30? Alton, I'm going to be really real with you. That's been sold a very long time ago. Which means I also have to update all my YouTube descriptions because I have sold it a couple months ago. But I do have like 70 videos on it. So yeah, no, it's sold. It's gone. It's not in my house. Can we get a Pixel 6K vlog for one time? I actually have a video that I might use Cam's light for. That might be kind of a Pixis vlog, if that helps. Talk about the keyboard behind you, what you got. Nothing. I don't have anything. Mind your own business, Scott Balcom. I'm gonna just put, I didn't even realize these things were like just out. I don't have much stuff, but when, yeah, I don't have much. We all heard you talking down MFT in your last video. Hey, don't make those MFT people bad, bro. If you were to choose to own your own lens that's spherical, what would you go for? I'm going to be testing out the Nisi Aureus lenses in the next like week and a half. So my opinions are subject to change. I'm a big DZO Arlos fan. I'm a big one. I'm a big DZO Arlos fan. I want to try the Vespa 2s, but I like those Arlos quite a bit. Shot a very good point. I guess adding a battery to the module would make it the size of the SI2X anyways, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with it, Sean. How did you color this live? It looks clean. These are my own LUTs, which I should put a 1 in the chat if I should finally drop Blackmagic LUTs and Lumix ones, because I have them. I use them all the time. And I never just took out the cube files and just made a package for them. I just kind of used them and just never mentioned it. But if you guys are interested in those type of things, leave a 1 in the chat, because I might make that a priority this month to actually make a Lumix and a Blackmagic LUT pack. Can't wait for Dandadan season 2. I think it's going to be dope because it's going to be the Evil Eye season, which is going to be, it's a pretty fire part of the Dandadan books. My A7 III will never get rid of. It's like my first child. I never got rid of my A7C, my A7 III. Mine broke the first day of the pandemic, and I brought it back to Gentech to get fixed, and they lost it. And then I ended up getting an EOSR because I was paranoid about it breaking again. By the way, the Rembrandt lighting in your streams is fire, and all your streams lately. Not many use it anymore to see nice and classic. Oh, thank you, man. Personally, for me, I think my big thing with this type of lighting is at least it gives, like, if I have a short stash filter on here, it'll kind of take out some of the glare on my face. But with the room that this is, it's not super conducive for really dope lighting setups, which makes me sad. So this is the best I can do. And I just got to like put it behind my desk, and here we are. So JDK, yeah, that's... I love me some JJK, but Mappa has to treat their animators correctly. Saying switch to Lumix for getting your first camera. FF Lumix just makes more sense now. Lumix did not play around this year. I will hand it to you. I don't, not even because Sean's in the chat or anything like that. Um, Truth to tell, like I didn't have a Lumix camera till the S5 IIX last spring, and I felt a little bit mad that other people didn't tell me that that was in Lumix cameras to begin with, having only Sony cameras for a very long time. Not sure how you feel about it, but I can't wait until Demon Slayer movie comes out towards the end. Oh, is it the end of this month? I do like Demon Slayer. I know how it ends, so that makes me like I already know what happens. But I'm excited to see how that's going to look because the movie's going to look insane. I started with the G86 and GH5. Honestly, I didn't realize how powerful of a camera it is until after I moved to Fuji with the X-T3. I almost bought a GH4 in 2017, and I remember back in the day, like it used to be like $3,000. It used to be the same price as the FX2 now, and I'm like, I don't got the kind of money for a grad gift, and then I just moved on with my life, and now we're back. AOD in the house. What's going on? What course are you in? Would be glad to see the FX3 2 get a new sensor. No chance we'll have 12,800 ISO. Will make anyone without that sensor not have the same expectations from clients. Wait, I got to read that again. You know what? I feel like I get what you mean, but I also feel like 12,000, it's just a lot. 12,800. It's a great feat, but like I've never been like, yep, got to get to 12,000. I'm just like, I just need it to be brighter. And if it's brighter at like 5,000, I'm cool. Or a new GX. Yep. Will be a cool idea, like the GFX size full frame. I want to see like eventually, I eventually want to see like GFX size sensors and like mirrorless cameras that have faster readout. So like if the GFX 102 had a faster readout of like 6K with the same body design, because the 100 Mark II body design I think is my favorite. I'd be down for that. You're tall and big like me. I'm 6'3", 250 plus. So yeah, I'm like I'll give you the APC. I'll tell you this. I competed in my first show doing bodybuilding at like 225. So I'm a very, very large human being. So at 250, I'm like, yeah, we need a brand of cameras or a line of cameras that's just made for bigger people, like a plus size camera. Fuji does it with the GFX line, and I just wish other companies would do that too. That's all. Sean, you have the power to relay this information to the powers that be to make that happen. I'm just saying, if you want to just put a little word in, I wouldn't mind that. Why does live look cinematic as fuck? Because I steal ideas from you. Also because I decided to finally put my desk light behind the desk for once instead of putting it like over here and you can see it and it looks stupid. Also, cool trick. This is the closet mirror that actually makes the light feel like the window is in the room, except the window's on that side of the room. Movie magic. Hey, Shadow Lights, what's going on, man? AOD from Costa Rica. Oh, there's more people from AOD. Episode technically on vacation, kill stream as always. Sean, go take a rest, bro. What are you doing? Stop jumping in these live streams. You have other things to do. But yes, no, thank you, Sean, for coming to the live stream. When you are back, Sean, we should do a live soon about a couple things. Good work. Appreciate your content. What would be a good hybrid camera B cam to pair with my FX3? My research tells me the A7S3 or A7 IV. Excuse me, thoughts. If you love anything about the FX3, just get an A7S3, and I think they're pretty decently used. Hey, Groovy has said it. He said he wants the LUT packs. I will be working on those, making sure the transforms are all on there. And in the next, probably July 1st, I'll probably have both of them out. I'm a filmmaker. I'm thinking of upgrading my camera from the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Super 35 to the Sony FX2. What do you think? Why is that the upgrade that you want to make from the camera that you have? Hey, Ron with a super chat. I should have read that earlier. I'm sorry, buddy. $20. Peer character looking at himself in the mirror saying, "Thanks for being you," with hearts popping out of his eyes. Wait, what? Good setup. Hey, thank you, man. Ron Davis peer character looking at himself. I don't know what a peer character is. Ron, write it again. I don't know what that means. Looking forward to see your videos for the Nisi Aureus. I have a couple of Athenas. Really happy with them so far, but would love to see those Arliss at some point. The photos look amazing. So the idea for this video for the Aureus lenses is I'm going to have the Aureus beside the Arls Primes that are also going to be compared to a Nisi Athena, just so we know the difference between upgrading to the Nisi Athena to the Aureus, and then also like the space that both lenses occupy from the Arls and the Aureus are going to be the same. So I want to compare those two together as well. Looks pulled a Halliburton Big Selly with the latest drop. Yes, they did. I don't disagree with that. The Strena's top-down lighting setup would give hella boss film. I might try a top-down next time. Small people cameras for me. Hey, being able to have your hands that could fit like a Fuji X-Half should be a form of privilege, and it makes me very upset that you can do that and I can't. Actually, I'm supposed to get the Fuji X-Half tomorrow, and we're going to see how cartoonishly small this camera is in my hand. Shoot video and wash this day and fall and spring. You need 12K ISO, but we're not abnormality along the size thing. Yes, you do need to make XL cameras. I think we should. I think we should have plus size cameras for people with gigantic hands. Do you have a Discord channel? I do have one. I think I got rid of it a little while ago just because I didn't keep up with it very much. Discord and new LUTs, I think, are going to be my goal for this month, where I'll have both coming out. And then also, I may start memberships now that I'm like home and I could actually think about what value to bring. So yeah, I actually have time to think about that kind of stuff, which I will do hopefully by the end of this month. Still think Otis are better than the Arliss image-wise. Come at me. I'm not going to, but I also don't have a full set of Otis lenses to be able to verify or deny that. With the BizCoast cinematography, the FX2 is interesting, but I really think the FX2 is foreshadowing for the FX3. I think they're going to drop an FX3 with incremental change than an FX4. Don't know. Don't know about that one. And the reason why I don't know about that one is oftentimes your flagship is going to be kind of the head of everything. So it all depends on like what they end up putting as like their FX9 kind of ENG camera replacement, and you'll kind of figure out what the FX3 is going to be from there, not necessarily the other way around. Like the A7 IV doesn't give you an accurate dictation of like what the A9 was going to be, but an FX9 will give you a closer look at what an FX3 would look like, and a FX3 gives you a closer look at what the FX30 looks like. And I think they discontinued the FX9 like what, 2 years ago or a year ago. So I can only assume that you're probably going to hear something about it at the end of this year, and that'll be. I think that's when we're going to start to see what things could be the FX3 too. Hey, you are correct. Brady's actually supposed to send me the Cine Jaw now, which means it'll come in on Friday, but like now, so I should get it by the end of the week, hopefully. Disclaimer, I didn't write peer character directly. I think it's the default comment. Ron, also, when you put super chats in, sometimes it'll autocorrect to things you don't want it to say. Nonetheless, I respect the super chat. Thank you a lot, actually. That's really cool. Many inside sources say the FX3 II will have the S12 sensor, which makes sense. Is there any other ways Sony sensor stock has been... Whoa, is there any... There isn't any new Sony sensor in their stock that's been released currently. To be fair, there's also the Z8 sensor as well that could be used. But even if it okay, well, we'll go with that. Say it's the FX3 II has the S12 sensor. What would need to be in it that would make it better than the S12? Because track record wise, cameras that have had the same sensors, being the S12E and the A7 III even, Lumix has stretched out their sensors with software and stuff a little bit better than Sony has. I wonder if they've decided to go with that. What would they be able to pull out that hasn't already been pulled out, is what I'm trying to say. One thing that Sony will never do is give the FX3 open gate. At least Jay said that it's not what we need, it's what we want. So that's not happening. And at that point, like, what else would you give us? Because there's already a big 6 menu in the S12. I think maybe like the overheating stuff. But if the S12 proves to not have bad overheating, then like, what's the point? And it'll be $4,500 at least. So like, super interested to see the lens comparison. Do you by chance own any light fabrics? Would you recommend first invite with? Before they got stolen, I had a 6x6 scrim gym by Westcott at Velcro Fabrics, and I had a 3/4 stop and a 1 1/4 stop diffusion. I'm actually gonna pick up some 3x3 or like 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter floppies, and I gotta get myself some unbleached muslin. Oh, Ron Super Chat was an auto-generated description of a GIF emoji thing. That makes sense. I'm on Ecamm, so it didn't show me what that was. Since you have both in Sony and Lumix, what is your preference in terms of log profiles being easier to grade than what you want S-Log3 to Vlog? I think because Lumix also theoretically and allegedly uses Sony sensors, or like very, very similar. For example, the IRE for skin tones are like 1 point off, like one's 42 and one's 41. They're fairly similar to grade. I will say though, and I put this in the S12 versus the FX2 video, the graded out of box color out of the S12E looks a little bit better, looks a bit more natural. So I would say they're both just as easy to grade, but I do say that like in terms of getting a look that I like personally, I think Vlog is a little easier. Not to say that I can't do it out of the FX2, because I've been using S-Log2 and I've made LUTs for it and I've been using it for years. So the FX3 will only get the same or less than the FX9 at the end of the year. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like the FX9 has to come out before the FX3. At least that's how they've traditionally done it. Which means that like if that's going to give us a better dictation of what it is, and I don't know. I don't really know at this point like what else we could want. But then again, I mean, when the FX3 came out, I had the same feeling. So it's kind of tough to me to like, this is something that we really need in the FX3 Mark II, and it could solve a giant amount of problems because it's kind of been solved in other cameras already. I think Sony will have OpenGate. They have it, but they don't want to pay more for it. No, I think there was other technological problems why they didn't have OpenGate. But then again, also the designer of the FX Line J, who's also an amazing guy. Like, guys, don't get it twisted. He made it very loud and clear that I don't think we're going to see OpenGate in that camera. Also considering the fact that like you can get it on the Venice and you have to pay for that Venice upgrade. So I can't see it being any different than the smaller cameras. Sony will be focusing on cinema lenses sensors for B2B clients like Lumix and Hasselblad. We will see more options on codecs in the option over the next 24 months. I think they need one too in order to shoot OpenGate. I think they actually need to make a new codec to do it. But I could also see like there was a talk of like the spin-off happening where like they kind of become their own thing. And that might actually make it more interesting for camera companies, because then it becomes, we're not going to gatekeep sensors for ourselves. It becomes whoever has the money is going to be able to buy them. Supposedly the S12 is the same sensor as the Z6 III, but improved upon. If there was a sensor that could be improved upon, what would be the best one over for the FX3 II? I would assume the Nikon Z8, if I'm gonna guess. I would like if we're gonna the Nikon Z8. That'd be like that'd be the one that like it's already a high readout anyway. So if you wanted to pull more dynamic range out of it, it'd make it a touch slower, which is what they did with the S12. If it was sub 12 and still shot 8K 60 frames a second, I could see Sony doing that and still keeping the heat under control. Not even the Braun has full frame OpenGate mode. The only new 4.3 is a Super 35 mode, just like the A1 sensor. It's just the A1 sensor too. Yeah, you're right. There isn't a full frame OpenGate on the Burano, so I can't see them doing it on an FX3 too. I got a couple more of these because I got to go soon because I got a call in like 20 minutes. I put my money on the FX3 II to have false color, the focusing tool, 32-bit flow audio, internal RAW, and some minor video mode bump. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But then even then, if it does, say it does have that, it kind of just sounds like the S12 with extra steps and more expensive by like what I'm going to assume is going to be another $1,200. Your thoughts on the new Eternal? Have you had a chance to check it out in person? I have not. I was not. Well, technically I wasn't invited to that event, but I also I was there. I got to LA like a day later, so I couldn't even go and see it. A couple other guys did though, and I think they liked it a lot. They're just curious what the price is going to be. OpenGate has historical feature for anamorphic use. Only recently people have been pushing it for social frames. They will keep it to the Venice for as long as they can. You're not wrong here. You're not wrong here. Yeah, DOI, let's say fixed readout speeds. Thomas, from what I understand, they did improve on them a bit from Cine Gear. I could be wrong, though. They have an 8-bit OpenGate hack through using Atomos recording monitors. Yeah, that's not a hack, man, because if I got to spend $850 to get the Atomos Ninja and an SSD drive to just shoot 8-bit OpenGate, not be able to grade it, not have the information that I need, that's not really a hack, because then my FX3 now becomes, what, $3,800? It's $4,699 to get 8-bit OpenGate, where I could just get an S12 for $1,500, $1,700 cheaper. I don't know if that's really a hack. It's a workaround to do it, and I don't think it's going to be super usable in most cases, but like, if I got to buy 2 other accessories to get a mode that's already internal to a body, I think that's a point that everybody's making about the S12 being what you want from the FX3. Need to be Ursa Cine readout level, speed level. Yeah. Yeah, especially like, I don't know what they're going to price that at. It's going to have to be something under 20. It's going to have to be cheaper than the Burano for that guy. But then again, what other camera can shoot in large format 4x3 with all the other bells and whistles? I just can't, like, if it's in RA territory, I think you're going to have a tough time because the brand recognition isn't there. I don't know. I think they could either be a disruptor or they can be part of the brand that might be a little bit out of touch. Yeah, the Burano is doing fine. Just hope that it's not above 12 grand. Yeah, 25. I think what it is the price for the Burano to performance is a lot of money. Oh, I didn't think about that. I've never used a 600 millimeter lens. But yeah, I guess at like, what's it? The readout's 19 or 18 milliseconds. So at 600 millimeters, yeah. I know there are some dock shooters that love it. Like I have a couple dock shooting friends that love the Burano. Then I have some people that absolutely dislike it. It's a bit of a mixed bag. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. All right, guys, I gotta go because I got like 15 minutes till this next call. So I'm gonna wrap things up. Just a quick impromptu speed. We did not talk about filmmaking opportunities whatsoever. I may have to come back and address those things, but yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later, I guess. We never do that in these streams. We spend an hour and a half talking about nothing. I am on Instagram. I think it's in the description of this live stream. And the New Conversation about New Cameras Innovation podcast, Matt and Caleb talked about internal batteries. Thoughts? The reason is it could be 3 times more powerful or more. You are correct. Yeah, okay. Have to show off that Ursa Cine works soon. Hey, so do I, because I plan on buying mine in the very, very, very near future. But I got to get on this call, so I will either come back on stream or talk to you guys a little bit later. Peace.